It is wonderful to welcome once again to this program Caroline Owens, a wonderful bluegrass musician from Nashville, Tennessee. She recently released her debut album, and we'll be spending much of this time we have talking about it. Caroline, welcome to the show once again. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. First, I'd like to ask you about your plans for the summer of this year.
Yeah, but we're excited to get out there and do some touring and promote this new album with my band, New Company. So that's what we're going to be doing. A lot of this summer is touring and picking.
Hmm. Yeah. Any notable places where you'll go?
Well, we're excited to be at the Grand Ole Opry for the Josie Awards. That's going to be an exciting thing. And then we have a big run that weekend of Dollywood in Texas. So that's going to be a fun one. That's in October.
Hmm. Yeah, tell me about your band.
So the band is Caroline Owens and New Company. Spencer Strickland on mandolin, Zach McLam on the bass, Ella Thomas on the fiddle, and Mr. Chase Bennett on the banjo.
Hmm. All right. So was the band involved in the recording process of the album?
Not on this one, but the next one.
Okay. Uh, should we be excited about the next album?
Well, I hope so. I hope that everyone will be. Yeah, we're excited to get it out there. It's gonna be something a lot different than what we would normally do. So we're looking forward to kind of going in a little bit different direction.
Hmm. Okay. So your debut album is a self-titled record.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you would name it, how you name it after, well, yourself.
How I named it?
Yeah, like why did you choose to name it after yourself?
Well, it's my first debut album. I thought, well, if people are gonna hear about this album for forever, those things follow you forever. Might as well just make it
Mhm.
your own. And as much as I could make it was my own name. And so we did that. We tossed around a couple of other ideas, but just letting it be the debut album and letting it be my name, it just seemed right.
Mhm. So the album was released on the 31st of May, so the last day of last month as of this recording. So how has the reception of the album been so far?
Well, we're very blessed. We've had a great feedback on it, and that's always a huge thrill because you don't really know when you put something out how people are going to respond to it. And so you just make music that you like and you put your heart and soul into it and then you put it out there and just see what happens. And we've been very fortunate to have the feedback that we've had on it, and we appreciate everybody so much. So it's been wonderful.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. So any significant radio airplay on the songs that were on it?
Well, the first song that we ever put out as a single was Heartbreak Train, and that's the first song on the album. And of course, we were very fortunate that was the number one most played song on Sirius XM. So that was a big thrill. So yes, some airplay that we're really thankful for. Yeah, thank you to the DJs always.
Hmm. Yeah, Heartbreak Train was the song that I got introduced to you from, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was a wonderful song. That was like a year ago, and now yeah, you've released an album full of music, and there are 10 tracks off of the album, and they're all quite wonderful. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I had a lot of neat pickers on that record too, and of course, Darren Aldridge produced it, and so that was a big thrill to me. He's been a mentor of mine for years, and so to have his fingerprints all over this record, I think is really a blessing. So he really shaped it into what it became.
Hmm. Yeah. You asked me about my favorite song off of the album, and I could name the "No More Blue Moons in Kentucky" one. That's a
Oh,
really good song. Yeah. Darren as well as Brooke Aldrich perform in it as well. So yeah, tell me more about collaborating with them.
yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, because Darren was producing the project, and so they came in and did a featured single on that project, which was actually our second release when we were releasing singles was No More Blue Moons in Kentucky. And it was a lot of fun getting to work with him. Of course, Darren was already in the studio, so it was so much fun to get to do a little something different than just producing. He played on the project and sang, and Brooke came in and sang, and so it was really neat to get to work with my heroes.
Hmm. Yeah, they are very significant in the bluegrass music scene, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
extremely.
Hmm. Yeah, so how did you come to know them?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I First time I met them, I was actually 16, and it was my 16th birthday,
Hmm.
and my mom took me to their concert. It was at a church, I believe it was. I can't remember exactly where, but that was where I met them in church. And I got up and sang with them, and it was just a lot of fun. So that was my introduction.
Hmm. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned this in our last conversation together, but your mom, Jenny Becca Owens, she played a great role in, your musical career thus far, and of course, her record label, Skyline Records, promoted your album. So yeah, yeah, tell me more about your mom's involvement in your musical life.
Yeah, my mom has been a constant through everything. My dad is, well, he's a little more behind the scenes, but
Mhm.
I have wonderful parents. And so that's a good start for anyone. You know, that's the foundation of everything that you are. And so she's been very instrumental in so much of my career and has helped me, gosh, in more ways than I can even begin to say. I don't even want to say because I'll miss something. But she's been extremely instrumental and supportive of me.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. Do send my regards to Jenny. If
Yeah, I will.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So I'm guessing that you grew up with bluegrass music your entire life.
No, I grew up in Southern gospel. My grandpa was a preacher.
Hmm.
And so my introduction to bluegrass was a lot different than most. I didn't get into it till I was 13. So,
Yeah. So what was the music that you grew up with then? Other than I suppose, yeah, you mentioned Southern gospel, but yeah, other than that.
well, that was really about all we did because like I said, we were in the church a lot. And so
Okay.
I learned Southern gospel and we sang out of the red back hymnal. That was really all I knew for a really long time.
Hmm. Yeah. Are you still involved in the church life?
When I'm able to, I do go to church on Sunday mornings, and I enjoy getting to do that. You know, it was a big part of my childhood, so I always like to go back when I can. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Did you perform music in like a church choir or anything, either as a kid or now?
Yeah, I did as a kid a lot. We were very involved in church, and that was a great introduction into performing because it
Hmm.
was a very forgiving crowd. So,
I
yeah,
see.
I performed a lot in church every Sunday actually. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay. So yeah, tell me more about the No More Blue Moons in Kentucky song.
Well, not only were Darren and Brooke featured on that song, they actually wrote it
Hmm.
with co-writer Dennis Duff. So that was really neat to have their fingerprints all over it. So you have them as writers, Darren as producer, and Brooke and Darren as featured artists. So it was a really neat collaboration.
Okay. Yeah. So you're the main artist, and did they wrote the song with you in mind?
I don't think so. It was just something that they had pitched to me and were very gracious to send my way. So it worked out.
Hmm. Okay. Now tell me about the album's cover art. So how did that picture of yours get taken?
Yeah, that was taken by Anna Hass in Nashville, Tennessee. Right after I had signed with Skyline a little bit after we were looking for songs, for songs, good grief, for pictures for the record. And so she took the photos, and Monica Spinlove did my makeup and hair for that shoot, and Lacey Mack did all of the swirlies and neat things that you see in the picture.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Yeah. How excited are you to perform these songs live?
Oh, we're so excited. I mean, it's fun anytime you get to pick with your band, but to pick these songs with the band that were on the record, that's gonna be a fun show. We're looking
Hmm.
forward to it.
Yeah. So how long did it take to complete the album?
Well, that's a great question. I don't work very fast because quite the perfectionist, and I hope that shines through just a little bit. It may not, but so it was quite the process actually. I want to say it was around, gosh, I don't even want to give a number. It was around a year and a half, I want to say. maybe.
Mhm. Yes. And do you find being a perfectionist uh, an advantage or a hindrance to your creative process?
Hmm. Wow, that's a very no one's ever asked me that before. I've never really thought about it, although I probably should have thought about that. Um, I could see it being a hindrance and an advantage in certain areas. In my experience, it's been an advantage in some ways, to the sense that I get everything exactly the way that I would like for it to be. But it's also been a hindrance because it keeps
Mhm.
me from working fast. So it has its pros and cons.
Yes, of course. Lots of musicians and of course even some that you know say that their musical inspirations come from God. So I wonder if that's the same with you.
Well, like I said, I grew up in the church, so that was implemented in me very early on,
Mhm.
and then as I got older, I kept that within my heart. And so those are things that, usually just don't go away, So they're always with you no matter where you go or no matter what you decide to do. So
Mhm. Yes. I wonder if in your upbringing in gospel music, do you find the songs that they perform to be uplifting songs or sad songs?
in gospel,
Yeah.
well, the songs we always grew up singing were very uplifting because they were from the hymnal. And so they're songs of praise is what that means. And so I always found them to be very uplifting. So that was a good introduction into music to begin with.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, that brings me to this one of the songs in the album, "Build Me an Ark." I'm sure that's a gospel song that refers to the story of Noah, and I wonder to what extent do you find the story of Noah, the flood, the ark, and everything uplifting?
Wow. You're full of great questions and you're making me really, really think today. Well, I love the song, first of all, because it was written by a good friend of mine, Lacey Mack, who did the cover art that you see
Yes.
on the album. So that was neat to have her hands in both of those areas. And but the story of Noah was something that I grew up hearing, all my life.
Hmm.
And so as I got older, I had different thoughts on it, than you do when you're a kid. But to sum it all up would be tough, and I'm trying to think of how I could do it. But yeah, I grew up hearing about it, and so I developed different ideas of it as I got older, if that makes any sense.
Hmm. Yeah, and I suppose what's your current idea of the Noah story?
Hmm. You know, I don't want to give a wrong answer. Um, I would really want to go back and study and think about it before I did, because it has been a while. I would have to get back with you on that because I want to make sure that I give the right answer. But for
Hmm.
right now, we're loving the song.
Yes, yes, it is, and it is a rather uplifting song. Um, I always I guess an image that always stuck with me when it comes to the Noah story is the rainbow, uh, where God casts a rainbow as a promise, so to speak, not to do
Yeah.
what he did with the flood. And to me, that kind of signifies a new covenant after the one that he made with Adam. And
Hmm.
but the covenant has changed because in the days of Adam up to Noah, people I think essentially live a vegetarian life. They don't eat animals, but after Noah, I think animals are free for humans to eat.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting. You know a lot of stuff about this. That's that you're opening up my eyes to a lot of things that I didn't know about. Um, I don't eat a lot of meat myself, actually. I do sometimes. Sometimes I'll go vegetarian for a few weeks, and then
Mhm.
sometimes I'll do some vegan stuff, and then sometimes I will eat meat. So it just depends on, my cravings for the month or whatever. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I know a lot of Christians and specifically in my particular church, Catholics, they refrain from eating meat either as a devotional mission or as an ethical point. So I wonder,
Mm.
from your point of view, yeah, why do you refrain from meat eating?
Well, like I said, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. It just depends. It's
Yeah.
more so for me just what I'm craving, honestly. If
Mhm,
I'm not in a meat mood, there's sometimes where I can't eat chicken. It's really
mhm,
strange.
mhm.
It just I can't do it. So it just depends on what I'm craving.
I see. Yeah. In my case, there are certain meats that I would prefer after over others. I think chicken is the one that I eat a lot these days because it's cheap
Mhm.
and it's rich in protein. The others are not as much, and yeah, it does they do not sit well with my stomach to say the least.
I understand that. Yeah, there's certain things that I simply cannot eat, but those are the things you always want the most. So
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I wonder if I go to say your area, what sort of signature dishes should I expect?
well, barbecue's huge.
Hmm.
Barbecue's huge. In North Carolina, where I'm from, in North
Hmm.
Carolina, just right up the road, actually in Lexington, North Carolina. You can expect a lot of barbecue and a lot of home cooking, as they say, so
Yeah.
vegetables, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Hmm. That's wonderful. So, are you currently based in North Carolina now or in Nashville?
I'm 50-50. So I'm
Hmm.
in Nashville part-time and North Carolina part-time.
I see. What's the traveling arrangement between the two cities or places?
It's rough because it's, 7 hours one way. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
it's quite the haul, yeah.
Hmm. So I'm guessing you use the road instead of say airplanes, something like that, right?
Yeah, I do fly on occasion, but not to Nashville. I
Hmm.
usually just drive.
Hmm. Okay. And I'm guessing the traveling arrangements for the tour is going to be fully on the road, right?
Summer planes because they're really, really Texas is quite the haul for us, so we're gonna fly.
Hmm. Okay. Anywhere in those touring in the list of touring locations that you have not been?
Well, Texas is one of them, actually. We've
Hmm.
never been to Texas, and we're gonna be out there for the Salmon Lake Bluegrass Festival, so that's exciting. Never been.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm sure their bluegrass music scene is going to be pretty good.
I think it will be. We're excited about it, especially like I said, never having been out there. You never know what to expect, and so that's always fun.
Hmm. Yeah. How would you compare the bluegrass music scene between Nashville and your hometown of North Carolina?
Totally different.
Hmm.
I really don't know that I could even compare them because they're so different. There's not a whole lot of bluegrass in Tennessee or Nashville rather. I shouldn't say Tennessee, but there's a lot here in North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina today. Um, there's a ton, like every night. So it's just totally different. A lot different.
Hmm. Yes. This brings me to one of the other songs that that's in the album that I really like. "He Loves Me Not." Is a sad love song, so it's an
Yeah.
example of how bluegrass music can be a bit downbeat rather than upbeat. So tell me more about the writing and recording of that piece.
Yeah, so that was written by Danny Flowers and Leona Williams, who are two fantastic writers. And that song was sent to the record label from Danny. And when I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so sad. Can we record it? And so that was kind of how that went and got into the studio and cut it. And we're really happy with it.
Mhm. Yeah, and like I said, it's a very lovely song. Obviously, the subject is heartbreak, and yeah, I don't know if we ever addressed this in our previous conversation, but I wonder, are there any autobiographical aspects to the songs that you perform?
Um, you've asked such interesting questions. You're really stumping me here. Um, you know what? There in my heartbreak songs, I'm a sappy person by nature. And so I think that they are a reflection a little bit of me. And so I would say that a lot of the heartbreak stuff, not that I've been through a ton of heartbreak, but I
Mhm,
think everyone has at some point, and it's relatable. Yeah.
mhm. Yes. How old are you, if I may ask?
22.
I see. I see. Well, well, it's a great luck because I think when I was 22, I've been through tons of heartbreak, but not something compelling enough to make a country slash bluegrass songs, unfortunately. But yeah, I've had my
You can
fair
have a
share.
hit that really stinks.
Yes. But yeah, you're a very lucky person to have sailed through life. Yeah, not experiencing that. But yeah, which brings me to what's your favorite aspect about listening and or performing bluegrass music?
Well, I love making people happy. And when I'm performing, I can see people smiling. And I just love that. Or if I can even make them feel a good cry, maybe they need a good cry. I just love to help people feel things that they want to feel. It's probably my favorite.
Mhm. Lovely. Yes. And of course, bluegrass music and the best of it can achieve that feeling.
Yeah, it's very down home, heartbreak southern music at its best. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So I wonder if the idea of Southern hospitality, the culture of Southern hospitality is expressed in that bluegrass music too.
Oh, I think so. I mean that I mean that's basically what it is at its core, you know? The girl next door and the boy next door and yeah, I mean it's just it's written all over it. It's about being friends with your neighbors and loving one another and a little banjo break in between. That's pretty much what it is.
Mhm. Yes. I'm sort of I think of myself as a student of America, and I always see that in like certain big cities of the north, people are more suspicious of their neighbors than say certain areas of the south. So I wonder if have whether if you've been to the north and you've seen that like with your own eyes and such.
Yeah, I have seen that. I mean, especially traveling up, to New York and places like that, you see a lot of interesting things.
Oh
But
yeah.
here in the South, we try and get along with our neighbors and love our neighbors, and it happens up north as well, but I know the dynamic that you're talking about. Yeah.
As an artist, do you prefer to perform happy or sad songs?
Cool. Well, I'm a heartbreak lover, so I had to go with sad. Yeah.
Mhm. And of course, as a music listener, do you prefer to listen to happy or sad songs?
Medium. I like to have a balance between the two because I feel so much when I listen to music. So I have to be careful to not get into a little slum.
Mhm.
So I try to stay in the middle.
Mhm. Yeah. Although he's not bluegrass, I think Elvis has a very like rich category of both happy songs and sad songs, like songs that you
Yeah.
want to dance to and some songs that you want to cry to.
Did you say Elvis?
Elvis.
I thought that you did. I was gonna say I'll be quite honest with you. I have not listened to as much of his music as I should, but I would love to some more. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I think you should really go to Graceland. I'm not sure where that is, whether it's close to where you live.
It is close to me, but I've never been. I would love to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of bluegrass and also country singers who are influenced by Elvis in some ways. He's very influential across all range, of course, including gospel too. I believe I used to have a record copy of his album His Hand in Mine. That's a fantastic set of gospel tunes.
Oh yeah, I would love to listen to that as well. Is that kind of your favorite genre, or did you have an Elvis? Everyone has their story about Elvis, or
Well, I'm into all kinds of Elvis, really. You have your sad Elvis, your happy Elvis, gospel Elvis, your
yeah.
country Elvis, and your movie soundtrack Elvis. I play with all of that.
All right, yeah, that's usually some of the best way to be. Have a little bit of everything in your
Mhm.
musical palette. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. So aside from the music that you play, what kind of music that you would find yourself listening to?
yeah, I listen to a lot of jazz. I
Hmm.
love jazz and folk. If I'm not going to listen to bluegrass, maybe one day or something, and I just want a palate cleanser, I'll listen to jazz.
Oh yeah, and of course the certain musical ideas that are incorporated in, say, jazz and folk music can be helpful in your own creation of music, even though they're not of the same genre, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah, they can be. That's why I listen to as much different stuff as I can. I find that it helps me to become better at what I do in my genre.
Hmm. Yes. How's the weather where you are living now?
Well, it's a lot different. Uh, North Carolina and Nashville, we get so humid here. It's a little humid in Nashville, but golly, when you come back home, it's like, oh, you know. But it's a beautiful place to live, both places. So
Mhm.
can't complain too much.
Yeah, wonderful. Um, I always wonder how uh, in Europe we Europeans think of Americans through the lens of country music. I think the image of the cowboy or even the hillbilly is what Europeans first think of when they think of Americans. So I
Yeah.
wonder, do you plan to visit Europe at some point?
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah.
We'd love to go to Europe. We'd love to go to Ireland.
Mhm.
I just want to play anywhere we can play, but Europe, I've heard, is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's wonderful and it's a very diverse place.
Okay, you've been?
Yeah. Well, I am in Europe right now,
Oh, okay.
Hungary to be specific.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe last time we talked, I was in Vienna, Austria. So the two cities are quite close to each other.
Okay. Well, you do some traveling too, then.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. And of course, whenever you find yourself in Budapest, let me know and we could.
Well, I'll let you know if we ever do. We'd love
Mhm,
to, like I say, but I'll let you know.
mhm. Yeah, I do know that there's a big audience for folk music in this European continent, and especially I think country, bluegrass, blues as well. Yeah, Europeans tend to think of that as the American born, and it's a very
Oh,
endearing
really?
trait of them.
Hmm. You're telling me all kinds of interesting things.
Well, thank you. So, who are some of the artists and musicians that you would like to open for?
Oh my gosh. Well, of course, Dolly's my biggest, hero in the whole world. So that's dreaming too big, I'm sure. But
Hmm.
she's the first who comes to mind.
Hmm. Yeah, and of course you got a chance to meet with Alison Krauss, I believe it was last year.
No, it's been a while. I was
Oh, okay.
16, so it's been
Oh,
many,
right.
many
Yes.
years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you remember much of it?
I remember how nervous I was.
Hmm.
She's amazing, and I'd looked up to her and still do for I looked up to her forever, and so to get to meet her was almost a dream. Yeah, like a real life dream.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had a chance to. She's one of my favorites within the
Yeah.
bluegrass musical genre. Yeah.
Oh, one of mine too. You know that she's one of mine.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm sure you've listened to the two albums that she did with Robert Plant, right? The first one is Raising Sand, and the second one is Raise the Roof. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're some of my favorites. But
Yeah.
I mean, I love the bluegrass stuff too. But
Hmm.
like I say, I mean, I listen to everything, so I love both.
Hmm. Yeah, I came to be introduced to Alison Krauss through Robert Plant because I was a huge rock
Yeah.
and roll fan. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome himself.
Yeah, he's a very talented and dynamic vocalist, I'd say.
Hmm.
Is Alison Krauss like an example of an artist that can do both happy songs and sad songs in your
Oh,
view?
absolutely. Yeah, she's very diverse. And I think that that's shown with her stuff with Robert,
Hmm.
even more so than anything.
Oh yes, yes, yes. And of course, in your, say, development as an artist, what kind of songs would you like to write and perform?
Mm. Well, I'm a big fan of contemporary bluegrass, and that's who I am at my core. And so that's my favorite. But I mean, really, I love to sing just about anything. So it's tough to say, but I mean, at my core, I'm contemporary bluegrass.
Hmm. Yes. And would you be willing to sing like a bluegrassified version of a song that's not uh originally written as a bluegrass piece?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're planning to do that at our shows this summer. We have
Hmm.
a couple of those that I'll put away in the pocket.
Oh yeah, yeah. What are some of the titles if you can share with us?
Yeah, we're gonna do Blinding Lights by The Weekend.
Oh, really?
So that'll be, do you know that number?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, that's gonna be in the set list. So if you get the chance, fly on over and see it.
Yeah, that was a really big song when it came out.
Yeah,
I remember I was living in Canada around that time, and I was like walking through the streets of Toronto
yeah.
during the evening. I like just listened to that song over and over on repeat, and yeah, it really fit the area because the weekend is from that city, and
Oh,
Toronto in
okay.
the evening can be a very interesting place.
Hmm. You're telling me all kinds of things. I had no idea, so
Hmm.
that's interesting to know.
Hmm. Yeah, and of course it'll be hard for me to imagine that song being I guess reworked as a bluegrass piece, but you may have a way to surprise all of us.
Well, we hope it's a good surprise, not one of those where you go, I don't know about that.
Yes, I hope so too. Tell me, what are some of the things that you hope to achieve this time next year?
Well, I have so many goals and so many ambitions. We'd love to put out another record as a band, so that's coming. That's exciting. But I have so many things that I'd love to achieve, but I try not to be too harsh, or too hard on myself to achieve those things. Um, because I do believe with hard work, they'll come in time. So I try not to put a year on things or 2 years because I can make myself very anxious. And so I try to just work as hard as I can and let the pieces fall where they're going to fall. So,
Yes, and of course, whenever the album comes out, and I look forward to it as well. I'd love to invite you and the band to the show to talk about it.
yeah, we'd love that. We'll get the gang together.
All right. Yeah. So, I wonder, included in your ambitions, are there like awards that you think of that you'd like to, get a hold of?
Well, anytime that someone considers you for an award, it's an honor.
Hmm.
So anything that people think that I may be deserving of, I would love to be considered. And so I try not to think, oh, I'd love to have, because I mean, I'm a naturally competitive person.
Yeah.
Um, so those do come to mind. But on the flip side, you know, it's just an honor to be considered for anything. So
Hmm.
I do have my ambitions, but I also try to stay very true and humble, um, and just be thankful for what comes.
Yeah. You've mentioned Dolly as one of the persons that you'd like to meet,
Yeah,
and are there any other names in that list?
Taylor Swift, Nora
Hmm.
Jones, yeah, all kinds of folks. I have a long list, but those are the two that come to mind.
Hmm. Have you, I guess, pictured what you're going to say to them when you meet them?
Oh no, because I don't think it's gonna happen. But if for some reason it does, I'll come up with something maybe if I don't freeze.
Hmm. Yeah. Tell me about some of the hobbies and interests that you pursue other than music.
Well, I'm quite the what do you call that? I'm always on the grind, so they say. And so I have a really hard time with not doing something musical. So I don't have a lot of hobbies, although I probably should, but I just have a hard time not working. So when I'm not working, which is a very rare occasion, I like to read. That's about it. Nothing exciting.
Hmm. Yeah, I believe you mentioned reading the last time we talked about any thing that you're reading currently.
Well, I read a lot at one time. pretty bad ADHD, and I don't have the best focus attention. So I'm reading about six different things, to be honest with you. So
Mhm. Yeah. Do you read while you're on flights as well?
I do. That's about the only time that I get the chance to read because I don't have any internet. So
Yes, of course. Yeah, me too. Me too. Mhm. What is the longest flight that you've ever been on?
longest flight, and I apologize if my camera keeps cutting off. My phone battery is running low. I need to get a new phone, but that's another story. Um, longest flight. It hasn't been too bad. I want to say around 3 hours.
Hmm.
Um, not terrible, but I'm sure that'll come, and I'm gonna hate it.
I see. Yeah. Um, yeah, my longest has been some 14, so it's a
Oh,
intercontinental flight.
good grief!
Yes.
Lots of books.
Yeah, yeah. I think I sort of ran out of things to do while at hour 7 on that flight, and I don't
Yeah,
sleep well on planes. Yeah, that can be quite a struggle. I know
I bet.
a good thing to do is you take advantage of the aisles and then you just walk up and down the aisle, like often with your shoes off. I think that sort of like relieves the tension.
Well, that's good to know. I'll try that. I mean, we don't have plans for any long flights, but golly, if we do, I'm toast.
Yeah, of course. Whenever you're flying to Europe, then that's you might expect a quite a long flight, let's say.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So do you find it difficult to relax or easy to do so?
Yeah, I can't relax. I should probably have some help with that. But yeah, I just always think, well, there's something else I could be doing, and then I go do it. So, uh, no, I don't relax well at all. Mm-mm.
I see. Yeah, I don't consider myself a good like relaxer. I always think of something to do, and I get bored easily. But of course, your body has a way to remind you that its fuel has run out, and you probably need an hour or two of relaxation to continue to keep at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Our bodies won't let us do very much for, a long time. If you're dehydrated, it'll let you know. If you're
Mhm.
sleep deprived, it'll let you know. So,
Yes. For those of us who are catching the video feed, you're on a hammock, which I guess I consider it a relaxing activity. I haven't actually been in a hammock since I was like 8. So I hope you're relaxed, I suppose.
yeah, my parents actually bought this for me. I'm at home right now, and they said, Caroline, you need to take a chill pill every now and then. How about we get you a hammock? Which I thought was really sweet.
Oh, that's wonderful of them. So anything that you and your parents do together?
Well, a lot of times, of course, they're at my music shows, and so that's something that we've always bonded over is music. And they'll take me out to dinner, every once in a while and bond over food and that kind of thing. But we have a good relationship, and I'm very lucky.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Um, would you consider writing a song dedicated to your one or more of your family members?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. That's something that I would love to do. Be personal, which is not always an easy thing. Vulnerability is not not anyone's favorite thing, but I would love to one of these days. Yeah.
I wonder, when you write music, is it easier for you to find the words or the music part, the notes, the melodies, etc.?
Well, they come at the same time.
Oh, really?
They've never came apart. So I'm very fortunate in that regard. They just come together. So,
Hmm. Yeah. Tell me about your first memory of performing music and then I suppose getting enough praise for you to recognize that, hey, I'm going to do this full time from now on.
well, I was 2 years old.
Oh.
I was in church. I don't remember it, but I've heard that it was. I don't want to say amazing because
Mhm.
I don't think that anyone singing it too maybe could be considered amazing. But I don't know it. it was a good upbringing,
Mhm,
and that was my introduction into performing. And my
mhm,
parents noticed,
mhm,
and had they not have noticed, maybe I wouldn't have either. So
mhm. Yeah, and I'm sure that church provides a lot of fond memories for you growing up.
yeah, it was a good upbringing. I'm
Mhm,
very, very blessed.
mhm. This may be a difficult question, but how would you describe your relationship with God?
Mm, you ask all the tough questions. You get me all choked up. Well, I think everyone's is described different. It would be tough to describe it.
Mhm,
But that's what's so amazing about it. When you think about it, everyone's is different. Mine is different from yours, and yours is different from mine. I don't know. He's blessed me a lot. I can tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, I could say the same.
Anyone who gets to do this for a living, we're very blessed. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Um, I did not grow up in the church or even the Christian faith. I came to it
yeah.
very late. It was only like 2 years ago that I was baptized as a Catholic.
Hmm.
But even before then, I'm starting to consider whether or not I should form a relationship with God and His church and such.
Yeah,
And of course, I'm glad that I came to the decision that I have done so right now.
absolutely.
Mhm. Okay, so final question, Caroline.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think I would ask the same one that we concluded on in our last program, and I wonder if you may manage to come to a different answer. What does
yeah.
music mean to you?
Whatever I said last time.
Mhm. Okay, well,
It's I mean, not to be, funny, but it never really changes because I'm so blessed that I get to do this to begin with. So,
okay, well, I guess those of us in the audience can check out the interview that we did last time for that answer. Okay, but until then, well, thank you very much, Caroline Owens, for joining this
yeah.
program once again.
Thanks so much for having me. Bye.
Yeah, goodbye, and God bless.